share a hand. That's the motto, that's the plan. Got a whole lot of loot. Check my status, that's the brand. Boy, stop playing. Money so long, broke them rubber bands in the jam. I'll be damned if I fuck with Uncle Sam. I be spazzing on the beat. I go thermal on them niggas. I'm absorbing all the heat. Oh, salty ass niggas be thinking that it's sweet. Oh, dusty ass niggas in the presence of the league. Salute. Yeah, we looking for recruits. Join the squad, get you open, corner 3, 2, 1, shoot. Don't be scared, come prepared, and we keep you in the loop. Get you squared and prepared, and we accept you as a troop.
Oh, you didn't know? We taking Thursday back. It's Mix Squad TV. Promise we gonna get to you on time. Every other time. We still getting things set up. I still hear an echo in my voice, but it's okay. I'ma just push through it. So we in the building. We gonna go through a mix tonight. It's a good mix to go through because it's a lot to actually tap into in regards to collaboration, bringing stems in, consolidating your tracks down, especially if you're like in my case where you don't have the most computing power. And so there are ways that we can actually go about just kind of condensing things to be able to continue to work and not have to be stopped by Pro Tools every 5 seconds. So before we get going, we're going to introduce the squad. Let's go ahead and introduce ourselves. I'm going to start with the first time here on the set, Mr. Audio Manipulator. What's going on, bro?
Chilling, getting ready, listening to this mix. Ready for y'all to tune in and get in and join the squad, man. Don't be scared. We here to help. Make sure y'all capabilities could rise up, you know. And I'm Audio Manipulator. First time here, man. And I'm here.
For sure. Where you from, brother?
I'm out of the Bay, Oakland, California, man.
Yes, sir. Another co-owner here at the Mix Squad LLC. Go to themixsquad.com to get everything from mixing consultation, from mixes, masters, video edits, your content edits for YouTube and different TikTok, Instagram. We edit those as well, including merch, including music, beats, and soon we will have our own music review show. So just go to themixsquad.com, explore the site, join the squad, cue the music. What's up, sis?
What's good, everybody? Miss Q the Music, singer, songwriter, mix engineer, producer on Thursdays. And I'm just here chilling.
Chilling. We just taking Thursday back one Thursday at a time. And what we typically do here on Thursday is really get into a mix, some into the like nuances of engineering. However, as this community grows, we will have different things, whether it's guests, whether it's feedback. You know, we will be doing a variety of things on Thursday and not just specifically live mixing, but that is what we have in store for the day. Yeah, I guess we can just kind of just get into it. Waste no time. Let me go ahead and start sharing the screen. All right, so we have this mix here. And that's me talking. I might just have to get used to hearing myself because that, to be honest, drives me nuts. But it is what it is. We have this mix and we have a collab with 3 individuals. Currently on this mix is Running Up Royal. Shout out to him. Cue the Music and me. And so this was a 2-track mix. And so sometimes you may collaborate with other people and you all have a 2-track mix. And in this case, just like you may have experienced, you may get a 2-track and you rap on the second verse or sing on the second verse, but that's not, where you may fit into the song once we get it all mixed together. And then so we have to find ways to be sure that we get the timing right and we get things fitting together as they should be. And then especially in this case, as you see, this beat in itself as a 2-track isn't exactly how it was downloaded. So if I just move this all the way out, let me open this up a little bit more. If I start moving where I first cut this track out, you'll see that the waveforms will look different. Because initially, that's the 2-track. And so that's very important why we talk about getting your beats per minute correct. It's also important to have your key correct for when you're mixing vocals. But in regards to keeping things in time, and especially with the beat, it's just good to have it, your beats per minute, because then I was able to chop up different segments and place them where I needed to for the song to continue to move forward and not sound like, unprofessional or that it skipped or it wasn't in time. The entire song was extended, even though I was using a 2-track and did not have the actual stems for this song. All right, so let's give this a listen. I am going to play this with all of the current processing that's on it. And then we're going to kind of piece it together, dissect it, see what all things went into getting the sound that we got. All right.
I'll dedicate my whole life, but is it worth it? When we kindle our loves, hot as a furnace. Make you my one and only, cause you deserve it, girl. I left you a message, but have you read it? I called you a couple times, you didn't get it. Our spiritual ties keep us connected. And I ain't trying to gas you up, no, let it know. I give you love, care, kindness, and affection. Protecting your heart, that's my profession. I know you got a few scars, girl, who you tellin'? That's why my love isn't short, it's like progressive, yeah. All I need is you. All I want is you. Girl, not lie, you're all I want, baby. All I need is you. All I want is you. Girl, not lie, you're all I want, baby.
You're the perfect chorus to my verse, like a melody and rhyme, flow together in time. It's no secret that I
You know it, 10 toes down. Delete a number, she got a new best friend now. Don't talk about the past, cause the future's right now. You want her back, but I'm blowing back outs now. Better yet, we bout to back out now. Take her on the spree, we back out now. Girl, you VIP, that don't stop now. Just begin, spin the wind, change the name, change the game. Get my last dollar before she see a change. You all marveled and got hit with the Doctor Strange. We equals, balance in the yoke, we are the same. A long way on the runway and I in the plane. Used to be a proud player, I ain't playing, let me please you. I'm just saying, wanna be my girlfriend? I'm your man, sexy how you say my name, blazing hot, I'm a fan and we cool.
All I need is you. All I want is you. Girl, not lie, you're all I want, baby. All I need is you. All I want is you. Girl, not lie, you're all I want, baby. You what I really want it. You know I get off picky all day. You know I get joking any long way. You know I see it, so don't play.
Boy, this that when the club about to let out song.
What'd you say, Slang?
I said that's that song they play when they about to let the club out. Grab who you want. Good night.
Straight up. Yeah, indeed. So we got a glimpse of that. First, before we even just really get into the mix specifically, I kind of just want to go over something that is important if you're limited on your resources on a computer. So here, this is Royals. So I have all of his vocals here within this folder. Right, so that's Royal's intro, Royal leads, his stab, his libs, all of those go to Royal. Now, each one of these has been consolidated down to the folders. When you see on at least Pro Tools, when the file name ends in CM, that has been committed. So you'll see some of these if I select them. Royal hook background. Right, this particular track, I consolidated or committed. So all of that processing could be baked in so I can move forward with mixing. You know, the only thing with committing is you just need to be sure that whatever processing you are doing is truly what you want to commit to. But that is just one of the tricks for at least Pro Tools if you're running into CPU issues and it's just getting too much. Because if I didn't commit these tracks, because it was quite a few that I committed, then there would be no way I could live stream this and or mix it within Pro Tools and it play as continually as it did. Before I committed, it would probably get through 15 seconds, and that we know is a headache if you're in the flow of trying to mix. So look into your DAW, if you don't use Pro Tools, into how you can consolidate or commit processing to prevent the computer from being overloaded. So now that we've gotten that out the way, we do have each individual vocal that got its own processing and a part of a collaboration where cue the music, she's in her own environment, I'm in my own environment, Royal is in his own environment, all recording in our own environment. And so the key to when you have all of these different vocals is to, one, if all, cue the music is an engineer of her own, Royal is an engineer of his own. And so sometimes you'll get tracks that have some processing already on it and it's not necessary to do a whole lot. And in this scenario, it was actually twofold. Royal sent me the session with very little processing, So I had to kind of do the chain myself while Cue the Music really just kind of sent me her vocals process, and it was just kind of up to me to just fit it in. Which is why this was a good session to kind of give you that full range of stems that you could work with all in one track. So it started off with me making the hook and making a verse. And then Royal and Kiana added on to that. So we're gonna just kind of focus real quick before we go into the individual process on each individual vocal. We're gonna focus on something that brought our vocals together, which is a certain effects, which I believe this particular room was a room effect that was used solely to just kind of glue and each vocal and put all of our vocals in the same environment. Kiana had some processing already on hers and already had reverb in place and whatever she had already used. And so I had to use it very lightly, but it did, it was used solely to just kind of marry all of our vocals together. So that's something, number one, to just remember when you're dealing with vocals coming in from various sources, is that you want them to feel not like they recorded in, in different areas, in different places. So that's just something to keep in mind, that I would say is one of the later stages. You definitely just want to mix as you mix the vocals as you get them. But once you get into kind of meshing everything together, or the term glue comes to mind, that one singular room reverb could help just kind of get everything in the same space. All right, so that's out the way. I'm gonna start taking some stuff off. We're gonna take the mix bus process and we're gonna take that off. Let's go through the line. And okay, that's cool. I can keep that later. I'll just mute the effects for now, mute the processor, and then just focus on the vocal. So we'll start with Royal. He was the first verse. And so we'll start on this verse. And so right now he's pretty dry as far as these tracks. Where we at? All right. So this is his main right here. These two technically. This one, it must have been kind of carrying over into the main lead. So I just pulled it down and made it, a second lead. All right, so let's take a listen.
You stay on my mind when I'm at work. I dedicate my whole life, but is it worth it? When we kindle our loves, hot as a furnace.
So keep in mind, this is already committed. So there is some processing that you're not hearing. Let's see, let's go to it. Yeah, this one here. So this is what was committed. I'm going to just make that inactive now. And this was it raw.
You stay on my mind when I'm at work. I dedicate my whole life, but is it
Add a
worth
little
it?
tune.
When we kindle our loves, hot as a furnace. Make you my one and only, cause you deserve it, girl.
It's not extremely fast, but it is relatively fast.
Our spiritual ties keep us connected.
Okay.
I got you up, no one let it know. I give you love, care, kind.
So you can hear when he said no. Once his vocal level went past around -40, everything below that is now mute. And so again, from last week, you're gonna see gates on pretty much every vocal that I do, even though you see I'm editing as well, and you still got to do your edits, but it's just habit for me to throw a gate on, because I like to bring up the volume floor later, and without gates and without proper editing, bringing up the volume floor is going to cause you to have that room noise get brought up. We threw an EQ on there.
You stay on my mind when I'm at work. I dedicate my whole life, but is it worth it? When we kindle our loves, how does it
Again,
burn us?
very
Make
basic.
you my one and only 'cause you
Not making any major cuts yet. Just something in the sibilance area.
when I'm at work. But is it worth it?
So if I pull this up in volume and solo it, y'all kind of hear what I was hearing in regards to just the
When I'm at work. But is it worth it? How does it burn us? Make you my one and only 'cause you deserve it, girl. I left you a message, but have you read it? I called
and again, you have to know your workflow process. At this stage, I know later on I am still going to do some EQing. When I first get the vocal, I'm just trying to do like 2 to 3 moves. And because I fell into the trap early on and trying to be surgical, trying to take out every single thing I think I hear, and ultimately it just didn't give me the best results. And so this is my process now where I'll find, I'll do my roll off, and then I may do some stuff over here in the 200s or 400s sometimes. In this case, I didn't feel the need. In this case, I felt it was more in the sibilance area, and I just roll with it. I move forward, and then I put on a de-esser,
you stay on my mind when I'm at work.
which is doing a similar thing, just dynamically.
When we kindle our loves, how does it burn us? Make you my one and only 'cause you
Not
deserve
getting
it.
much reduction at all,
Message, but have
less
you
than a
read it?
dB at times.
A couple times you didn't get it. Our spiritual ties keep
Right
us
there
connected.
is the biggest jump,
Trying to get
7 dB. So there, it was able to capture a moment where he just got a little tss, and it took care of it. Cool. We move on to the 2A.
You stay on my mind when I'm at work. I dedicate my whole life, but is it worth it? When we kindle our loves, how does it burn us? Make you my one and only 'cause you deserve it, girl. I left you a message, but have you read
Really
it?
just evening out the performance overall.
Our spiritual
Being at the 2A is the type of compressor it is with the slower release, and how the algorithm of the release is just gradual. It just, gives a certain tone to when you use a 2A that I like. And I like on a lot of vocals. Going to the C4, multi-band.
on my mind when I'm at work. I dedicate my whole life, but is it worth it?
So you don't hear much, but this is what I'll do. What I'll do oftentimes when I'm doing multi-band is I will solo out each band and kind of, decide over experience. I know how each band I would like to sit volume-wise within the mix. So the low end, I'm just trying to control to be sure that it doesn't get too much, but I really don't want to do away with it because, from 250 to about 100, you can still get some warmth out of that. And so you're not going to see me bury that like this. I'm not going to bury it. I'm just going to make sure it don't get, out of hand. And we got the low mids.
Protecting your heart, that's my profession. I know you got a few scars, girl, who you tellin'? Love is insured, it's life progressive, yeah.
So the idea when I'm doing this particular multi-band, and it's different, because I'm the type of engineer that's going to do things how I feel like doing them in that moment. And it's not like the thought process behind it isn't like, oh, I need to do this because this is what I do. The thought process is just to really allow the piece of music to tell me what to do. Similar to when I make music. When I make music, I generally don't go into it thinking about this is what I'm making. I try to just allow it to come to me. And so in this case, as I'm listening, soloing in to the high mids, this is where I felt like I like to sit. Cool. So there's a lot of questions that come with multi-band and things like that, I would suggest you reach out to us either on Mix Squad TV and whatever platform that you see us on. I know we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, we're kind of all over the place. Reach out to us, join the squad so we can kind of get you educated on just the different use cases for multi-band in general. And then the last thing that was committed on Royal's verse was a EQ where I probably was doing more boosting. Let's take a see.
You stay on my mind when I'm at work. I'll dedicate my whole life, but is it worth it? When we kindle our loves, hot as a furnace. Make you my one and only, cause you deserve it, girl.
So as I'm just like, so I'll be reconstructing what I do already for y'all online, because like this is just refreshing to me what decisions I've made, because I couldn't tell you before I clicked on the Pug Tech that, oh, I was gonna boost 7 dB at 16K, and I didn't know. That's just what decision I made at the time. So here it looks like I boosted 7K around 16 kilohertz, and then I attenuated about almost 2 dB of that. The attenuation selection is around 5K. So it's boosting at the 16K and it's doing its reducing at around 5K. Now, again, these bands, at least how I have it set, is very broad, 7 out of 10 in the broad scale. And then on the lower end, I'm boosting almost 4 dB at around 100 hertz and only reducing it down a dB. So again, a feel thing. If I bypass it and and move it and unbypass it, it's not a huge difference.
When we kindle our loves, hot as a furnace. Make you my one and only, cause you deserve it, girl. I left you a message, but have you read it? I called you a couple times, you didn't.
And again, that's why it's important, the proper gain staging, because this is negative 2.8. So let me put it at unity. And now let's hear bypassing it. You may have fool's gold into thinking like, oh, it's an extreme sound change.
You stay on my mind when I'm at work. I'll dedicate my whole life, but is it worth it? When we kindle our loves, hot as a furnace. Make you my one and only, cause you deserve it, girl.
So by just unbypassing it without gain staging or matching the gain level from the input, you could be fooled into thinking you done did something dramatic, when in fact it's a very subtle change that I've made. It's just that I properly gain stage it to resemble what level that volume was coming from within to the plugin, coming out of the plugin. So gain staging is not just, I know some of us who are seasoned understand this concept, but I know some of us who are newer feel like gain staging is just at the beginning. And it's really throughout the entire process. Each plugin that I'm using is a chain that I should be gain staging through. Some engineers, especially some seasoned engineers, like I don't really gain stage through my plugins. I'll end up boosting everything later. And that's their process. There's nothing wrong with it. But for a newer engineer, I would say to get consistent gain stage through each chain, through each plugin, through each instance that you're sending the audio, that'll help you just stay consistent. So
not to cut you off, but I was doing that the other day also. I was learning. I started gain staging. Then once I got through the process, I was gain staging again. I'm like, oh, sheesh. Yeah.
But no, if you can, y'all definitely can cut me off at any time. Y'all feel the need to chime in. It's definitely. All right, so that was what was committed. So I uncommitted that. And we're going to hide that. And so when we hear the committed version with no plugins on it, understand that it is processed, right? And so that was what went down with his lead. And then his lead bus here is just where I just kind of did a little bit more tweaking. We had this MV2, which I like, is bringing up, again, some low level information. So it's boosting the volume from the bottom up, which typically, if you overboost it from the bottom up, you're going to affect the peak level. But the idea of boosting from the bottom up is that if something is peaking at -6 and you boost it up from the bottom, it still will peak at -6. Unfortunately, because this is digital and you can over crank things, if I pull this up to, up here, it's going to heavily increase the output, which the idea of low level compression is to maintain the peak volume level, but make the quieter parts louder. So just keep that in mind, just as you hear things like low level compression. The idea behind it is to maintain your peak level while increasing the overall volume of everything else, right? So let's take a look at what this MV2 was doing.
You stay on my mind when I'm at work. I'll dedicate my whole life, but is it worth it? When we kindle our love's hot as a furnace. Make you my one and only, cause you deserve it, girl.
Very subtle again, just kind of slowly bringing things to just where I wanted them to sit. And even after I do that, I tweak, right? Because apparently, like when I was mixing, this particular vocal is currently at -2.8 on the slider. I'm sure it was at unity gain the whole time. And then by the time I finished mixing and tweaking with stuff, I'm like, I just want to pull it down just a few dB. And that's perfectly fine, right? It's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people have their own rules and are married to certain ideologies. I don't ever touch the faders and stuff like that. I don't really give a damn like what your ideology is. I'm result driven. So if you can get to the result by processing the hell out your vocal and then you got to pull it down to -15, but it's sitting right, hey, you accomplished the mission. So here at Mix Squad, we're not going to get too caught up in like how to do it. It's just more so that you can do it. This is something you can do. And this is a path to get the job done. So the next thing I did was what I do on every single vocal at the end of the chain is my favorite EQ for boosting, which is the Mag EQ4. And we're going to take a listen at what that did. Now let me pull this back down to -2.8.
You stay on my mind when I'm at work. I'll dedicate my whole life, but is it worth it? When we kindle our love's hot as a furnace. Make you my one and only, cause you deserve it, girl. I left you a message, but have you read it? I called you a couple times, you didn't get it. Our spiritual ties keep us connected. And I ain't trying to get you
Again,
up,
subtle
don't let it.
things. So let's go into what was done. So I had to trim it about 1.5 dB because of the boosting that I did. I actually put an air band at 5K, boosted it about 2.5 dBs. No boost at 2.5. I gave him a dB boost in the low mids at about 1 dB. Around 160, I dipped out about 1.5 dB. At 40 hertz, which we know is very low for a vocal, I boosted it. Let me tell you why I end up boosting things here. Let's play it so we can hear what it's doing. Even though it's at 40 hertz, you'll hear that it's not just boosting 40.
You stay on my mind when I'm at work. I'll dedicate my whole life, but is it worth it? When we kindle our love's hot as a furnace. Make you my one and only, cause you deserve.
So sometimes it's just good to turn the knob, because we'll see, like some of us that are numbers driven to see, 40 hertz, that's way too low to be boosting the vocal, because you're thinking of like, if I had, let me pull up a fab filter like this right here. If I had this fab filter and we go to 40 and we look at this vocal, ain't nothing going on down here. Ain't no information to really be boosting at 40 hertz on a vocal, right? So I'm gonna delete this, but like if I boost this 40 hertz, we're thinking of it more like that, but that particular Mag E is more of these type of curves. So when they say 40, you getting 40 all the way through the low mids into the 200s and 300s. When they say, the shelf at 5K, it's something like that where you're getting this gradual shelf. That's why oftentimes on a singing performance, I think made for Kiana, we'll see, I may have done some air up around 30K, 40K and boosted it 6 dBs, because you're looking at this type of curve where here around, what's this, 8K, 10K, 10K only getting, it looks like let's see, yeah, that 2 dB. even though it's 7 dB at 30K, by the time the slope gets to 10K, it's only about a 2 dB increase. So we just have to get acclimated with the type of EQs we're using, the type of cues that they have. Oftentimes, I'll take something like this fab filter, put it after, right? Hold shift, at least on Pro Tools, to keep that up, and then bring up the other EQ whenever it decides to show itself. And then what I can do from here is I could play it and actually visually see how wide these bands are. So let me affect, actually with this, I'm gonna make it clean so we don't see anything. And then I'm gonna just crank up 2.5K. All right, I'm gonna bypass first. So this is around 2.5K. So this is the focus area that we focusing on. And let's see what happens when we bypass. Unbypass.
I called you a couple times, you didn't get it. Our spiritual ties.
So it was way more than just 2.5 boosted. It was more so, again, like a wide band like that took 2.5K and boosted it. So these are those just small little things that are paramount to when you are in your process of mixing, because there are so many different type of EQs. Join the squad. You can get the library of videos that show you the difference between the parametric EQ and the parameters it has, and the graphic EQ, and the different notches that you have, the different filters that you have, and the best application and use case for them. So shameless plug, obviously, join the squad. Let me take this EQ off.
It look like you doing some audio manipulating.
Yes, sir. And I think that, other than taking that back down, that was Royal's vocal. And then the last thing that was done before we get into any of the effects that were blended in was a mid-side processing on his vocal. And that's because that's, his lead is straight up the middle. But there are some things panned throughout some of these vocals that I have here. And because they're panned, that and then they're routed to a stereo bus, that creates having mid information and side channel information. And so here, that's a good area on his bus. Why can't I grab it? There we go. That now I can kind of affect both. So we have the side here. Let's just take a look. Bypass.
You stay on my mind when I'm at work. I'll dedicate my whole life, but is it worth it? When we kindle our loves, hot as a furnace. Make you my one and only, cause you deserve it, girl.
So not a whole lot going on. I took this. If we take a listen, I might mute the beat so we could really hear what the side is doing here.
You stay.
So I just dipped out a little bit of his sides here in the 600 area. For me, the only thing I can just think back and guess is that I know that I wanted to kind of get a little bit more, not clarity, because clarity and presence comes a lot higher in the frequency span. But sometimes you can get addition by subtraction. And so by reducing some of the side signal in the low mids, it would actually give him a little bit more clarity in that region. Because I didn't want clarity in the traditional sense of 5K, 4K, and above. I wanted mid clarity. I wanted his mids to be a little bit more clear. And I felt like just taking some of the sides out in that region would just help, achieve that. And then here, it doesn't look like I did anything else. The mids were dynamically being ducked if they went over a certain threshold. So it looks like here at around 10K, if the vocals exceeded 20 decibels or negative 20 decibels, then it would do similar to what a de-esser would do. But it didn't look like that happened too often. Let's see.
You stay on my mind when I'm at working. I'll dedicate my whole life, but is it worth it? When we kindle our
But if I do move it further down,
make you my one and only,
you'll see it triggers.
I left you a message, but have you read it? I called you a couple times, you didn't get.
So sometimes things are set as a safety to where this is the threshold that I'm comfortable with that region getting. If it ever exceeds this, clamp down on it. It looks like it wasn't necessary, which is great, but sometimes it's just provisional. A lot of my de-essers toward the end are not meant to de-ess anything. They're meant to catch something if there is a transient that goes astray or a peak that I didn't already capture and reduce, then it's there as a safety net to catch. So we done move kind of through his, like the very beginning process of just getting his vocals to kind of just be processed. And then we would move to, like, these I kept off and I just applied them here. The only thing that he had differently on this vocal was some auto-tune. Let's see what was going with this, folks. So those are look like ad-libs. Let's check them out.
Have you ready?
And that was it. That's all that was going on with that.
Make you my one and only, cause you deserve it, girl. I left.
Cool. So let's add this music back in. Let's go into some of the effects. So I'm gonna go into the pros, which is the processing. Again, you'll get the full breakdown on what the pros are and what the processing and how I route them and all of that. If you do what? If you do what, Slang?
Audio manipulate.
Or if you join the squad, nigga.
Audio manipulate.
If you join the squad,
Join the squad.
How to get all of our routing, our templates, some of, access to some of the information that you just won't see us give out for free online, right? We can't give all the sauce away, even though we be giving out some sauce. We can't give it all away for free. All right, so we go into the processing, and so that's gonna be saturation, warmth, brightness, and static. So let's take a look into these. We did this last week, but we're gonna go into it again because this is with every vocal. I apply the amount of these differently, so the blend is different every single vocal. So let's take a listen.
Make you my one and only, cause you deserve it, girl.
So that's the saturation you hear in the background. It's very low on his, but this is what it would be like not blended.
Don't let it know. I give you love, care, kindness, and affection. Protecting your heart, that's my profession.
This is with it with the
I know
lead.
you got a few scars, girl, who you telling? That's why my love isn't short, it's like progressive, yeah. All I need is you.
So I felt it good somewhere down here.
Make you my one and only, cause you deserve it. You stay on my mind when I'm out working. I'll dedicate my whole life, but is it worth it? When we kindle our loves, hot as a furnace.
This
Make
is
you my
warm.
one and only, cause you deserve it,
If
girl.
I add all of it,
Left you a message, but have you read it? I called you a couple times, you
this
didn't
is
get it.
without the lead. Let me cut off his stabs and ad libs. So that's what you would get with my warmth. And again, we're doing that filter to just really get all of the frequencies that we would associate with warmth, and then blend that in.
I left you a message, but have you read it? I called you a couple times, you didn't get it. Our spiritual ties
Brightness.
connected. And I ain't trying to gas you up, no, let it know. I give you love, care, kindness, and affection. Protecting your heart, that's my profession. I know you got a few scars, girl, who you tell?
By yourself. So on his, I did add some formant adjustment, looked like about 2 semitones on his brightness, and then just gave it some fresh air. As you see, the EQ is like definitely focused on the highs. And again, by yourself. Blend it in. And then blend it down.
Called you a couple times, you didn't get it. Our spiritual ties keep us connected. And I ain't trying to gas you up, no, let it know. I give you love, care, kindness, and affection. Protecting your heart, that's my profession.
Static.
I know you got a few scars, girl.
That's just what I call it. But by itself, it's not doing a lot because I didn't like it really as much on his.
Didn't get it. Our spiritual ties keep us connected. And I ain't trying to gas you up, no, let it know.
All right, and so that was the processing that I had already created as processing for my vocals. So mind you, I'm in here, I make the track, I make the hook, I start processing. So saturation, warmth, brightness, and static are all just consistent with what I have done already to my vocals. And so when I go in here and I'm adding his vocals, I'm trying to see what stuff is working, what's fitting from what I've already created for my vocal stack. And for those things that either wasn't like static, I felt like it was just like not necessary for him and his lead to have the different pitch voices and stuff like that. So it was buried really far. I may even mute it altogether because at the end of the day, you can barely tell it's in there. But that wasn't intended necessarily for him. It was something that was already on my chain. And at this point, when I get the session, I'm trying to find things to help glue. The more sins that are on each vocal that are the same, the more it'll help tonally make the vocal sound like they're in the same space. All right. And so that gets us to creating the space that we were talking about, which gets into our effects. And he had already sent aux 1 and aux 2 within his session. So he already had reverb that he had liked on his vocals. And so I just incorporated it into the effects that I already had set up for the session. Right. And I believe aux 1, I can change it right now. It shows up as reverb 1 and reverb 2. Cool. So let's go into reverb 1 and reverb 2 and see what they doing. So he already liked this on here. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I'm just going to blend it in into his vocal. Same with number 2.
Protecting your heart, that's my profession. I know you got a few scars, girl, who you telling? That's why my love is insured, it's like progressive, yeah.
Throw this plate on here. Let's see what this is doing.
You stay on my mind when I'm out working. Couple times you didn't get it. Our spiritual ties keep us connected. And I ain't trying to gas you up, no, let it know. I give you love, care.
And so this is the room reverb that everybody got.
You stay on my mind when I'm out working. I'll dedicate my whole. A couple times you didn't get it. Our spiritual ties keep us connected. And I ain't trying to gas you up, no, let it know.
And the last thing that was on there was parallel compression, which we'll get to at the very end here, that was applied on most of the leads. Okay, so if we go through his vocals, we got his stabs, his libs, and then his leads. That was pretty much all of his vocals. So we go through his verse again.
When I'm out working, I'll dedicate my whole life, but is it worth it? When we kindle our loves, hot as a furnace. Make you my one and only, cause you deserve it, girl. I left you a message, but have you read it? I called you a couple times, you didn't get it. Our spiritual ties keep us connected. And I ain't trying to gas you up, no, let it know. I give you love, care, kindness, and affection.
Cool. And so to go into some of these, uh, his room, he had the deverb on large room one. These are some of his parameters. Mixed with the mix knob, the mix dry knob a little bit, and then he EQ'd it. I liked how it was sounded on his vocals, so I kept it. The second one he used one knob wetter at about 5.5, and then EQ'd it. I liked it. He liked it. I kept it. The plate that was being used was a plate from our verb with an EQ and a whitener. The room that glued us all together actually used Volcano and Pro R2. And I don't even know we didn't use doubler on his, and we didn't have no time-based effects scenes on his either. And then the effects bus overall, I just put a little saturation blended in 50% in. So that was Royal's vocals. I think it's a good time to just take a break and kind of just chop it up with the squad real quick. Let me stop sharing the screen for a hot second. And just kind of discuss with the panel just kind of anything comes to mind or anything at all, thoughts, just that process, anything that I mentioned you have a question on or just wanted to just kind of share with people.
I wanted to see what did you go to hear the reverb like you heard it, like when you muted
Okay.
the vocals.
Yeah.
For somebody that don't know, what did you show that again?
Got
You might have to pull up your screen again.
No, I will. Once we get through with this little break, first thing I'm gonna do is
Remember, take a break so you could come back with fresh ears.
because it's been about an hour, right? So like,
Yes, indeed.
sometimes you just now. Granted, I ain't mixing. Like I'm kind of doing a breakdown of a mix, so it's not like I really, But
Digging into it.
I was just tired. No.
All right. Even with you going back through the mix, it still will give you fatigue.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But yeah, so I'll definitely make sure I show how we can hear our effects soloed out without, getting it to where you hear everything else too, where you can just solo out your effects, because that's good and bad, right? Because
Yes.
it's
Definitely
good to be able to know how to do it. It's bad if you go around mixing, soloing everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You do want to mix with context.
Context, correct. That is definitely we teach the core 5, which is equalization, compression, saturation / distortion, panning, and gain or volume. With those core things within mixing, it literally captures everything that mixing is. There's nothing you
Mm-hmm.
can do that is outside of those 5 core things when it comes to mixing. And sometimes they bleed into each other. Like, if you
You have
EQ
a lot of
something,
saturation.
or
Distorted.
if you dip out 250 hertz out of a vocal and you lower it by 6 dB, yes, that's an EQ move, but it's still a volume move.
You know, make your
So
vocal sound thin too.
right. But in essence, even if I just boost or cut, no matter what I'm doing in the EQ, it's still relative to the volume. So volume kind of goes into all of them. EQ factors into most of the other things.
Mm-hmm.
So all of them kind of, if you learn, because I was just like really thinking about this for our videos that we have in our portal, and I was saying, if you have 5 core things that we just named, and then you can chain them together in 5 ways. So, if we go back to your Pro Tools and you look at your track, you can put EQ, then you can put compression, then you could put panning, whatever order. So those are another 5 options on how to use them. So you got 5 times 5, which is 25 different variety of things you could do. And then just mixing them with each other. Do I want to EQ and compress? Do I want to saturate and compress? Do I want to pan and EQ? So that's 5 times 5 times 5. And so whatever 5 to the third power is, because I really don't know off the top of my head, that's the amount of possibilities you have with each individual piece of audio. You have thousands of possibilities of things you could do to it. It's just all about how you string your combos together. I look at it, I'm a nerd to some degree. I like to play a little MK. And if you string combos together,
It's like a
there's
Street
times
Fighter
I'll be on
combo.
line for Street Fighter, but I'll be on, Mortal Kombat. And there's been times where I've been on the fight online and the dude was playing as Jax. And once he started hitting me, you might as well put the controller down. Because he gonna gotcha grab, throw you on the floor, bounce you back up, pick you up, throw you again.
Boom,
like
boom.
It's over. He about to chain you up. And so it's very similar how we operate in our chain, how you connect things together from one 4 or 5 principle to the next will ultimately lead to having this wonderfully professionally polished sounding mix if you really just understand and learn those core 5. If you don't know those core 5, join the squad.
Yes, indeed.
For sure. All right, so
Before you jump back in, I just want to give a quick shout out to Shantae Smith.
Shantae, what
yes,
up,
yes,
man?
Dropping in.
Brother earlier today. He definitely is going to be a member of the squad. And would love to eventually have him on and show you guys just things that he got going on too, because that's a brother that's been tapping in with us for a long time and been supportive to us. For sure.
Yep.
For sure. We got to get his his brand on him.
It will be.
Did y'all see the new little promo that he had on the on social media?
I have not.
It was fire.
I believe it.
Made me want to get some, For sure. But so yeah, we're gonna tap back in real quick to this mix. And then I'm gonna show the thing that Slang was asking about, just in case those out there who don't know how we were able to hear the effects without that vocal. And so we go back to Royal. And so say it's the Reverb 1 for Pro Tools specific. So hopefully as we grow, we're going to have more experts and other DAWs be able to give you more of an insight on how to do what we're saying in a different system. But this is the system that we know. And so in Pro Tools, if you select the pre-fader, which really just means, so I use it, I'll tell you how I use it, but also what it's for. The pre-fader mode is so whatever you do up here, and so whatever you do up here, and whatever that signal is that comes out that last plug-in. So let's say it comes out at -3. That is the peak level that comes out of that last plug-in. By having it to pre-fader mode, the signal that goes into reverb number 1 is going to be at that peak level from that last plug-in, no matter what I do with this fader. This fader could be turned all the way off, but the reverb send is still gonna get the full amount of signal coming from the last plug-in. So by doing that, I'm able to solo out his vocal by pressing mute, and that signal still goes to reverb 1, which allows us to now hear only what the reverb is doing. So let's take a listen one more time. And so I'm controlling the volume of it here. But that is the pre-fader mode, and that's how I'm able to be, no matter what vocal it is or what it is, I'll put it in pre-fader mode just to be able to mute the lead, just so we could hear what that effect is doing. Some mixers don't do that at all. They don't want to hear what the plate is doing by itself. They just want to hear what it's doing with the vocal. For me, by teaching, because I'm a teacher at core, I want to show you it all. I want to show you all the different things that you can do, because there are use cases for soloing something out.
It's useful, but not too much.
It's very useful in regards to, once you have identified that when I play everything together, I notice there's something that I don't like. To be able to go in and find and surgically get that out of the plate or out of the room or out of the reverb, whatever it is good to be able to do. But that's only after you have identified it's an issue when everything's playing. The problem is that engineers will make decisions in solo. In solo, you're supposed to be going to the thing that you're trying to isolate and remove it. You've already identified that there's a problem. So that's, something to keep in mind. If you use a lot of solo to make mixing decisions, please stop. Because it's probably tearing up just the overall sound of your mix. I've been a victim. A lot of us, I'm sure, who do, who mix here at the squad have been a victim of soloing things out, thinking that, oh yeah, I'm about to get this particular frequency notched out, and next thing you know, things sounding artificial.
Right. Or it'll sound good if you soloing it and you don't hear the music, and then when you play the music back, it sound terrible.
Right.
Yes, we have done that before.
This mixing thing is trial and error. You know what I mean? There's nothing like time on task. But it's almost like, when you get into coaching, because I, coach my kids and stuff like that. It's one thing to practice hard, right? My kids practice hard.
Right.
They ain't practicing efficiently. They just running scrimmages all day. They running hard. They not working on no drills. They not working on dribbling. They not working on their free throws. So you could have the time on task, like we saying, hey, get the time on task. But if you don't have a coach who's helping you put that time into something that's going to benefit you and actually develop a skill, then you just out there running scrimmages.
Right.
That's why we keep talking about joining the squad, because then you can get a group of coaches that could get a game plan together for you. Say, okay, you got 10 hours a week to mix. These are the things that I want you to do when you mix. Focus on X, Y, Z, and then you actually start to see progress and increase. Because the truth be told, I've been around engineers who I've known since I've started mixing, and they still exactly where they were 5 years ago. Because they mix a lot, but when they mix, they go in just doing their own thing, running a V, first to 21. There's no game plan on what I actually need to focus on to become a better mixer. And ultimately, now you just practicing for no reason. So you got to combine the two. Time on task, but that time should be put on the task by having a game plan on what it is that you actually need to be trying to hear for, listen to, you know, for me, it was oversaturation. I had to really focus on limiting myself from oversaturating things. But if I was never told that, then I would consistently be doing mixes every single day, all the time, with millions of hours on task, oversaturating the hell out of music. So it's very important to invest in yourself, as Q the Music always says. And if you are out there trying to just get this, understand this, this is the community in which we assure you, you will get that out of it. All right, so let's transition over to Q the Music. And this was one that was actually good for the live because she had recorded on the second verse, or technically the first verse, and she became the second verse. And so trying to mesh to be sure that the timing was correct was probably the biggest issue with getting this mix. But that's why it's important as well to be able to have the ability to hop on a Zoom, hop on a platform where you could, like right now, where you can see the screen. Because that's all we did. We was like, look, in order to get this together and get your timing correct, since we really don't have a real reference to use, why don't we just get on here and we'll work together to get it right. And so that's what we ultimately did. But similarly, her vocals was consolidated. Let me actually go to her lead. Yeah, and it wasn't nothing like a whole lot that was going on here as well. Mute that for now. So let's take a listen at, I'm going to start taking stuff off real quick. We just focus on the lead. No processing, no effects. Okay.
To my verse, like a melody and rhyme, flow together in time. It's no secret that I'm caught up in your love. Your lips, they draw me in, a kiss upon my skin.
And again, she sent me processed stuff, which was fine already. So I'm purposely not trying to do too much. I do got around 450. It's like a dB and a half of a dip, very subtle. And in here, I know, I didn't want to spread that out. I know for a fact that I'm going to want to boost her air later. And so I'm just ahead of time, just getting any sibilance that may be there kind of tucked under. So once I do boost that air, it's not too harsh later down the long road. So let's listen.
Girl, not lie, you all I want, baby. You're the perfect chorus to my verse, like a melody and rhyme, flow together in time. It's no secret that
Cool. And then the tune that I had on there was extremely slow. You might as well just not even have it on there, but it was really slow.
Girl, not lie, you all I want, baby. You're the perfect chorus to my verse, like a melody and rhyme, flow together in time. It's no secret that I'm caught up in your love. Your lips, they
And so that type of setting, usually it's just as a preventative measure. If you got your auto tune in the hundreds as a speed, as far as milliseconds, you're dealing with a singer who sings, because this setting here is really just in case there's a note that just go too far out of
And it
key.
smooths it out.
It smoothing it out. That's it. But that's a note again for those who are struggling with tuning. What you can do oftentimes is crank it all the way up and then just keep like while the performance is going. So I'll do it now.
Girl, not lie, you all I want, baby. You're the perfect chorus to my verse, like a melody and rhyme.
Might have to move this.
Together in time, it's no secret that
And I would just keep moving it until I don't get that artificial sounding tail.
This is how the night began. It's been a long time.
And you would have to move both because the note transition is going to also have some of that tail. But ultimately, where it landed is where it landed based off of how I was feeling at that moment. But I wanted to be sure that there wasn't any hint of auto-tune, if that makes sense. Like just how I had it when it was really fast, when she ended her run, you hear the auto-tune. And my goal ultimately was I didn't want that to be detected that it was on there. MV2, again, subtle. It's just bringing about a dB up and a low level about a dB, high level about a dB. So overall, it's giving about a 2 dB push.
Girl, not lie, you all I want, baby. You're the perfect chorus to my verse, like a melody and rhyme, flow together in time.
And I hear that it's very subtle, but I hear the push forward it gives it.
Your lips, they draw me in. A kiss upon my skin. This is how the night began.
One more de-esser. This is, again, more so to just catch stuff that I didn't already catch.
Girl, not lie, you all I want, baby. You're the perfect chorus to my verse, like a melody and rhyme, flow together in time. It's no secret that
Right, and it looks like on the bus of all of her vocals, because right now I'm just soloing out her lead. I put another de-esser, but before we get to the bus, let's get into some of her sins and pros. So it's all of the same sins that were on Royals, and we just gonna hear what it sound like once it got added.
Girl, not lie, you all I want, baby. You're the perfect chorus to my verse, like a melody and rhyme, flow together in time. It's no secret that I'm caught up in your love. Your lips, they draw
Dry.
me in. A kiss upon my skin. This is how the night began. It's been a long time coming.
Cool. And so I'm gonna actually inactivate this one because the one next to it is the one that is consolidated. And then I can unmute these. We can hear all of the different backgrounds and stuff like that. Only thing that I did here on what's this particular background, there's some background vocals that were from the beginning, and this was like and this is just a creative tip for those who out there mixing and producing and doing the whole like everything for yourself. There is a section here of her performance where she I don't know what just happened, but there's a section here where she sings this right here.
So what we gon' do? Too late to go back now. 'Cause all I want is you.
Right. And so There's an intro to this song. Not much is being made for the intro. I think Royal was doing some, right, some type of ad libs. I had kind of been messing around doing the intro. The intro wasn't complete, but you just take a vocal from somewhere else in the song and find a spot for it. So I found a spot for it at the beginning. So the "It's Too Late" is one of the ad libs that she's saying, and then the one that we was just talking about is this one. And overall, what I would say is sometimes it can just add some continue, like it. If you hear things more than once in a song, sometimes it can just kind of also add to the glue. So you hear that when her verse ends and she does her run into the hook, but you kind of set them up for it later by just throwing it in at the beginning. And I tied some things together. I'm saying all I want is you, and it's too late. Like that wasn't planned, but it still just gives some feeling, fill in some dead air into the intro. So don't be scared if you're out. Sometimes just cut, paste it, move it around, try to put it, in different places to see if it works. If it doesn't work, if the artist doesn't like it, if you end up don't liking it, what's the harm?
You still manipulated it.
You still manipulated. You just delete it if it don't work. But don't be
Right.
scared to try to take pieces out of context to where it was originally meant for. Especially if you hear it, like, man, I hear if I put it at the beginning, they might like it, they may not. But don't be afraid to do things artistically, because this is what this is. This is art.
Because just because the puzzle says go there, don't mean that you cannot use the puzzle in the other way.
Man, sometimes you got to cut your own puzzle piece.
Okay.
So for all I did for this one was treated it extremely different than how it's treated later on, because it's supposed to be kind of in the background, extremely reverb, kind of just a part of the intro. So you see this EQ is there. Let me just play it as we do it. Again, MV2. This time it's a lot more of the MV2. So let me actually take off the MV2 and then the reverb. Let's see what it sounds like with just the EQ. And now this is with the MV2. Using that low level feature of any processing that allows you to bring up the low end will push things forward, even though it's not making it louder. It will give the perception that it is louder, because it's closing the dynamics to a certain degree, but it's doing it from a different angle, right? The compression is typically reducing the dynamics by quieting the loudest parts, which ultimately brings up closer the quietest parts. And low level, again, it's doing a little bit different. It's pushing it up from the bottom, but maintaining the peak. And so it does give a feeling of push. Oftentimes, when you see that word push on plugins, there's quite a few plugins that will indicate it's pushing something. So the I am pusher, all right, if you go into this plugin by Waves and then you see verbiage, what do they have? Push. That typically is not just a compressor. It's not just compressing it. It's usually doing a certain style of compression, which is low level compression. Go into, was it CLA Vocals? I believe they have not Unplugged, but CLA Vocals, when it come up, not this one. Also has an option for push. So again, getting just used to the terminologies. Not every time you see it being used, it means low level compression, but oftentimes when you see push, that's what they're referring to is pushing it up from the bottom. Just just a nugget, just to throw out there. All right, so we got the MV2 going, and then Crystalline is just kind of doing a different amount of things, which is a blend of reverb, a blend of modulation, and then also shaping that reverb and or modulation. And let's see what it's doing. Subtle, but if I brought it up to 100%, so you just use blend and taste to kind of get that to kind of just feel like a intro.
That plug-in looks sexy. But you know, another one I use for a nice
that?
push is the IDX, the intelligent dynamics. Dynamics, I
I
mean.
got that one.
Yeah.
You say IDX?
Yep. Dynamic. They got a tongue twister.
You know what I've been looking to use lately?
What?
Something that you hooked me up with the other day. I just ain't had a chance to actually use it yet. This Pro Q4. I just ain't used it yet. You know what I'm saying? We ain't gonna that. I don't know how I got it. So yeah, so then we add the room, and then this is ultimately what we got at the for the entire intro. And then the very last thing on her vocal bus again is that EQ. And let's see, I gave her 3 dBs of boost in the air, around 20 kilohertz, about a half a dB at 2.5. I took away a half a dB at 650, took away a half a dB at 160, added a half a dB at 40, and took 2 dB away in the sub bass. So let's and did not do any trim to it. No trim. So this one stayed exactly the level that it was. So let's hear it. Let's go to her verse.
You're the perfect chorus to my verse. Like a melody and rhyme. Flow together in time. It's no secret that I'm
Subtle moves.
caught up in your love. Your lips, they draw me in. A kiss upon my skin. This is how the night began. It's been a long time coming.
Again, the key though is treat the stems how you get them. I didn't have to do quite as much on Kiana's because Kiana's a very good engineer. So don't do more than you need to do. Like that's one thing I know is hard for engineers to deal with or to really listen to is like you getting some really good stems. Just don't overcook them. They already cooked. So I tried to be sure I didn't overcook this. It was already well dressed. I just needed to just put my little touches on it, but to be sure that they were gradual because she had already captured the sound that she liked and that she was comfortable with. All right, and so I think for the most part we kind of covered the mix. I know I didn't go all the way into my vocals. You might have to join the squad to get the rest of that breakdown. But I will at least do this. I will at least put on the all Vox processing and see the difference it makes, and also what I processed on the mix bus. You can do that. So let's just run this back from the beginning all the way through. First thing on the Vox bus, all Vox, is C4. Now the goal of this C4 different than when you saw when I had it on Royals, when I was shaping his individual vocal to how I wanted to sound. Keep in mind, every voice is coming through this. So I can't make a decision here in the intro and then make a decision and then make a decision and hear Royal and then make a decision. This decision is made based off of the entire performance, every vocal throughout the entire song. And so this part, adding C4 didn't even occur until I had went through all my faders. And so it'll look more like this, where I got Royal, Kiana, Cash. And so
I never thought putting the C4 on my all Vox. That's a good idea.
Well, in this particular scenario, it was necessary because of all the different vocals that was coming in.
Mm-hmm.
It was just another way to kind of makeshift blending it. But yeah, you see, you have Royal bus, Kiana's bus, my bus, and so I'm not putting this on yet until I move my faders around to where I like where Royal's sitting, I like where Kiana's sitting, I like where I'm sitting, and then I'll go do processing, because the last thing you want to do is not have your faders balanced going into all Vox, and then you start making decisions and then start turning down vocals with the faders, which is going to affect your all Vox processing, because it's no longer coming in at the same signal that
is working backwards. Why walk backwards when you could walk forward?
Right. So just keep in mind for those out there, like we are getting into a little bit of it's not super advanced, but this is something that you would want to do once you are comfortable with where things are sitting and you're ready to move forward to mix bus stuff. Because I consider my all Vox, even though it's not mix bus processing, I treat it like a vocal mix bus. So, and then that gets blended into the mix bus with the beat. So I look at all Vox bus processing to glue all the vocals, and then I glue the vocals to the beat with the mix bus. So, all right, so let's go into the C4 and what was going on with the C4. Let me get into verses so we don't have to hear the intro over. So you see the subtle changes it's doing to the vocal. So once we get to Royal's verse, the consistency should stay the same as far as how much it gets reduced.
When we kindle our loves hot as a furnace, make you my one and only 'cause you deserve it, girl. I left you
If
a
I
mess,
fast
but
forward
have
to
you read
Kiana's
it?
verse,
Called you a couple times, you didn't get all I need is you.
It's no secret that I'm caught up in your love.
all the way to my verse.
You know I get all picky all day. You know I get joking any long way. You know I see it, so don't play. You know it 10 times.
So if you was taking a look at each individual performance, some bands were jumping a little more than others, but overall, it was consistent on how much attenuation was being reduced throughout each band for each performance. And so that also helps you know I have it pretty even as far as the vocal level of everybody. You know, based off of your C4 and how it's not triggering too much. If Royal would have hopped on and his mid range was triggering hard to be reduced down, that means that his mid range is significantly higher than the rest of our voices. So again, this is just a way to glue and treat things together to just kind of mesh them. What you'll notice for this particular C4 that I used, it's more of a stereo bus preset, but then I manipulate the attack times. I want the attack times slow to medium because I want it to be smooth. I don't want this to ever really grab a transient and reduce it too fast. I want this to just kind of be a smooth compressor. So that's why you'll see these attack times being so large compared to attack times that you use when you treat a vocal on the vocal chain. All right, so then we put the Oxford inflator, and though it's meant to be used according to Oxford at 100% effect, I wasn't feeling 100% effect on these vocals, so I put it at about 10%. So let's listen.
You know I get up biggie all day. You know I get joking any long way. You know I see this, so don't play.
You know it, 10 toes down, delete a number, she...
Again, if we've been paying attention, this is another subtle boost coming from the bottom up. Most of what you've seen outside of the actual compressors that, like the two-way that I've shown and the C4, I have been bringing things up from the floor. And so that's why I always keep mentioning I need a clean floor. I need a muted floor so I can bring stuff up, not affect the peak level, but it can still bring it forward into the mix. Now listen to it if I put this at the full effect.
You know I get up biggie all day. You know I get joking any long way. You know I see this, so don't play.
You know it, 10 toes down.
It really, really jumps out and brings it up, which is fine. And I do use this often at 100%. I just didn't feel it necessary on this particular track. And so it could have has a lot to do with once I get into the mix bus processing, it was just a little bit too forward. So I bagged it off. I threw some soothe on after that, which was only just doing some de-essing.
You know I get up biggie all day. You know I get joking any long way.
So if you hear that outside of the beat, let me mute the beat. What you hear outside of my voice is what it's removing out of the audio.
In the wind, change the name, change the game. Get my last dollar before she see a change. You all marveled and got hit with the Doctor Strange. We equals, balance in the yoke, we are the same. A long way on the runway and I in the plane.
Cool. Now I'm doing a little marriage.
Do that beat change up right there a little bit?
No.
Oh.
You say do it change up. I had just took the beat off.
No, it did something nothing. Never mind.
What? What'd it do?
Play it. Just play it right quick.
You know I get up biggie all day. You know I get joking any long way. You know I see this, so don't play.
You know it, 10 toes down, delete a number, she got a new best friend now. Don't talk about the past, cause the future's right now. You want her back, but I'm blowing back outs now.
I think it was about to come up, but
oh,
that was hella clean though.
You know I get joking any long way. You know I see this, so don't play.
You know it, 10 toes down, delete a number, she got a new best friend now. Don't talk about the past, cause the future's right now. You want her back, but I'm blowing back outs now. Better yet, we bout to back out now. Take her on the spree, we back out now. Girl, you VIP.
I must have tripping.
Now just begins.
I thought it did a I thought it did a cool ass transition.
No, it was the fact that I had it on Delta mode, which
Uh,
so it was like something like this. Where I was just letting y'all hear the vocal, and when I brought it back in, I brought it back at the like exact moment that sounded good.
that shit
I might
made
have
a
to add
sense.
some shit. Might have to add that in, you know.
I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I might have to add that in, brother. Because I know what you're saying. I heard, I was like, because literally
Okay.
when I heard it, I was like, oh, I might need to make a like a beat drop right here.
Okay. I thought, okay. Thank you. I was like, man.
No, it wasn't just you. I just knew that it wasn't already like that for real, but it need to be.
Okay.
It need to be. I want to skip over that. The Puke Child I used on our vocals, just again, similarly how we use on the mix bus. But I'm getting a little bit more compression than I would get on the mix bus. Like I'm getting about 2 dBs of compression from our vocals. Typically on the mix bus, I'm probably barely letting it get to 1. But I just really like the way it pushed the vocals forward. And so that's where it was at. Let's listen.
You know I get up, biggie all day. You know I get joking any long way. You know I serious, so don't play.
You know it, 10 toes down. The leader number, she got a new best friend now. Don't talk about the past.
It
'cause
feels
the
a
future's
little
right
further
now. You
back
want her
right here.
But I'm blowing back outs now. Better yet, we about to back out now. Take her on the street. We back out now.
Last decision on the all Vox bus, of course. What would it be without the mag E4? And so bypassing that,
You know I get up, biggie all day. You know I get joking any long way. You know I serious, so don't play.
You know it, 10 toes down. The leader number, she got a new best friend now. Don't talk about the past, cause the future's right now. You want her back, but I'm.
and this is strictly only an air band. I typically do all the other stuff on the individual bus. Because here you can make a stupid decision where right now we're just listening to my vocal. And so if I'm just listening to my vocal and I hear, oh man, I need a push in my low mids, and I go push my low mids, that's also affecting Kiana's low mids and Royal's low mids and the ad libs and the effects. So you would be best to go to that bus of that individual and then make that change. Here, it's just simply to add air at 40 hertz or kilohertz to everybody's vocal. Just to give it a little air, literally to the overall vocal performance. And that's all that was there for. So again, these moves on all Vox, you keep in mind that these are all the Vox. Now, I could have moved all of this over here to where you see vocals, because vocals is like all Vox without the effects. So if there was a case where I wanted to do all of the processing that I did and not include reverb, not include any type of effects that I have, plates, stuff like that, then I would just move all of that processing over to this folder. Because at this folder, then I would only be focusing on vocals and none of the effects. In this case, I just wanted to affect everything, including the effects. And that's what I did. Last thing that I always do is connect the track spacer, side chain that to the vocal to give it some space.
You know I get up, biggie all day. You know I get joking any long way. You know I serious, so don't play.
You know it, 10 toes down. The leader number, she got a new best friend now. Don't talk about the past, cause the future's right now. You want her back, but I'm blowing back outs.
Cool. So, lastly, is this mix volume track that I send to the mix bus. Now, let's take a listen. Right now it's low.
You know I get joking any long way.
But let's keep in mind, it is negative 7.3 decibel as far as what the fader is. But it's still coming into the mix bus before any processor.
You know I get up, biggie all day. You know I get
Negative 7.8,
you know
negative 6.
so don't play.
So right now our peak is around negative 6.5. If I wanted to get a real true peak, I would just let the whole song play. But for the, for this case, that's fine. We're gonna go with negative 6. But if you just do the math, if I turn this mix volume up to unity gain, it's gonna be clipping.
You know I get up, biggie all day. You know I get joking any long way. You know I'm serious, so don't play.
You know it, 10 toes down.
So the reason why it was sitting at negative 7.3 is because that was the volume that allowed me to give myself headroom going into putting some processing for my master. Now, granted, this song actually has a whole nother session for master that I bounce it out, put it in, and it goes through a master chain. But for the sake of brevity, and just to kind of, sometimes I would just bounce it out just so others can hear it. Hey, take a listen to this. That's not me fully putting a master together yet, but it's still just for them to hear it at full level. If there is any revisions, yada, yada, yada. So first thing I did was a EQ, which I took certain dips out.
You know I get up, biggie all day.
Around 160, the little like cloudy, I would like to call it. I know some people say mud. That sound cloudy to me. I dipped it out about almost 2 dB.
Back, but I'm blowing back out.
At about 1200, it had this kind of like piercing sound to me.
Now just begin, spin the wind, change the name. All marbled and got hit with the.
And so those were the bands that I identified that I wanted to kind of dip out before we went into like pushing it louder.
You know I get up, biggie all day. You know I get.
Soothe is just doing a de-essing on the entire master. And the reason why I keep focusing on de-essers, because the style of this song, I want it to be somewhat bright. And in order to achieve that overall brightness without giving you ear fatigue and without having you feel like it's too harsh, you have to really be deliberate with getting those harsher frequencies out of the high end. Because I know that down the line, once it go through mastering, there's going to be a shelf, it's going to add air, and it's going to bring all that brightness back. And what we don't want when we do that is to bring all of the ugliness in those high-end frequencies up as well. So just some moves I make keeping in mind what I'm going to do later on.
You know I get up, biggie all day. You know I get joking.
We go to the Oxford Inflator again. This time it is at 100%. I didn't want to push the vocals at 100%, but the entire mix, I felt more comfortable. Let's take a listen.
You know I get up, biggie all day. You know I get joking any long way. You know I'm serious, so don't play.
You know it, 10 toes down. Delete a number, she got a new best friend now. Don't talk about the past, cause the future's right now. You want her back, but I'm blowing back outs now. Better yet, we bout to back out now. Take her on the spree.
Standard
We
clip.
back out now. Girl, you VIP. That don't stop now. Just begin, spin the wind, change the name, change the game. Get my last dollar before she see a change. You all marbled and got hit with the Doctor Strange. We equals, balance in the yoke. We out.
And you'll see periodically that it'll get clipped. And this I'm using with a technique in mind that's only to grab the rogue peaks. I'm not using this to really push the mix, none of that. I'm only using this to catch any peaks that just happen to jump out over the threshold, which will allow me more headroom to push the limiter harder next. All right, and so that's what that's doing. And then here, I believe we have the bulk of like the mastering stuff going on. And so we have Ozone. We have T-Rax 1, which I like. Let me turn this stuff off. So we got T-Rax 1, which gives you functionalities over the focus with it's like the presence and clarity bands, air of like 6K. The transients, whether or not you want analog saturation, bass punch, width, body, push, compression, and volume, just literally raising the volume. So the settings that I landed on, we're gonna take a look, but let's bypass it and listen.
You know I get up, biggie all day. You know I get joking any long way.
Let me grab another section for a second. We've been on this section.
Girl, I lie, you all I want, babe. All I need is you. All I want is you. Girl, I lie, you all I want, babe. You what I really, really, really want it. You know I get up, biggie
So again, it just brings it up. We're gonna look into, I'm not gonna go into each and every knob, but I added a little more air. I added a little bit more focus. I pushed it about a dB, about a half a dB of volume. I gave it some width. I gave it a little bit of punch in the bass, and just a slight bit of analog saturation. And then that's when you ultimately get.
Girl, I lie, you all I want, babe. All I need is all I want is you. Girl,
Obviously, we heard a lot more come up after I went into Ozone, because that was my final, processing was this Ozone. And as if you're paying attention, a lot of what I do over again. Like, I've added air on many things already, and I added some more. I've added high end to many things already, and I added some more, but I'm not adding it in an exorbitant amount right away. I may add a few dBs here or there every step of the way, which ultimately gives you just a better overall cohesive sound than just jacking up a vocal, 15 dB at 10K. It's not going to have the same sound as if you use different instances where you get a little bit more volume in that area. So the EQ that I threw on here on the master really was just a mid-side EQ that I rolled some sides off. I increased some sides in the mid-range. The reason why I'm going to solo this so you can hear what I wanted to bring up. I wanted to bring that up in the sides because it didn't get in the way of what's going on in the middle, but that's where you get all of the instruments and like all of those sounds that I care to hear in that mid-range in this song. It's not something I'm doing every single song. And in this song, that range, I enjoyed hearing that side signal information and pushing it just a little bit more to where it stands out a little bit more. On the mids, I dipped the low end only about 0.3 decibels just to control it a little. And then I dipped out some muddy areas. On the dynamics, this was like a mix bus glue type of thing. It ain't doing nothing but a few, not a full dB, but it's doing like 0.5, 0.3 type of moves here. Let's take a listen. It may be hard to see, but that's the gain reduction. 0.2, 0.3, 0.4.
Girl, I lie, you all I want, babe. You what I really
exciter. It's just adding some saturation. It's gonna be really hard to hear. It's very subtle.
Girl, not lie, you're all I want, babe. All I need is, all I want is you. Girl, not lie.
The stabilizer is very similar to soothe. And in this instance, I'm only using it to cut frequencies that get a little out of hand. Now, check this out. If I select shape, and let me turn it up to 100%, it's going to think. So if my high end isn't high enough, it's going to make it higher.
Girl, not lie, you're all I want, babe. All I need is, all I want is you.
So with me using cut is because I was happy with where things were. I didn't want things dynamically moving up and down throughout the entire performance. I've spent the whole mix trying to get that balance to sit right. And I'm not trying to get to the very end to kill the same feeling that I had already went through working so hard to get. So I'm using cut mode just to simply, in case there is any frequencies that's jumping out, it'll reduce those down.
Girl, not lie, you're all I want, babe. All I need is, all I want is you.
Imager, again, this is strictly focusing on the stereo width. In this case, it's a multi-band stereo width where I can solo out. I want to make the low end a little bit more straight down the center in mono, so I do that. On the mid-range, I want that mids to be a little more wide. I did that.
Girl, not lie, I want, babe. You what I really, really, really want it.
And so the last two things that we get down to just get to like my final, what I would say mock master, is the two limiters. The first limiter is only gonna be usually used. We're gonna see, because I don't know for a fact, but I usually only get it to react to it by a few like points of a decibel. So 0.2, 0.4. I don't want this limiter to work hard at all.
Girl, not lie, you're all I want, babe. All I need is,
So in this case, it's not working at all. Like it's not even actually limiting anything. It's just increasing the overall mix by 3 decibels. But it's not, them 3 decibels is not causing it to reach its peak. When we go to the maximizer, we add another 3.5. Watch your ears.
girl, not lie, you're all I want, babe. All I need is, all I want is you.
So we getting another 3.7 decibels of gain, but you see the actual amount of reduction that we're getting from the whole mix is within a decibel or 2. You see that I'm upward compressing another whole dB. I don't have any soft clip going on this one, and my true peak value is set to 0.3 or 0.29. And that is pretty much how you would get this mock mix done. And then what's funny, because this whole time I'm turning that stuff on, but it's supposed to be off over here. But I felt the difference. Let me turn it on. Let me see if we hear a difference.
Girl, not lie, you're all I want, babe. All I need is, all I want is you. Girl, not lie, you're all I want, babe. You what I really, really, really want it. You know I get all picky all day. You know I get joking any long way. You know I'm serious, so don't play.
You know it, 10 toes down.
Girl, not lie.
And the very last thing I do is just use a meter, like a measuring tool, a metering tool to show, just to give me insight on my LUFs and where I'm hitting my long tone targets, just to give me an idea if I'm being competitive or not. because I kind of know where I want the LUFs to be in general. So let's listen.
You, girl, not lie, you're all I want, babe. All I need is, all I want is you. Girl, not lie, you're all I want, babe. You what I really, really, really want it. You know I get all picky all day. You know I get joking any long way. You know I serious, so don't play.
So once I add in the intro and other moments that the beat isn't knocking, the long term more than likely is going to be between -10 and -10.5, which is very competitive as far as what you're accustomed to hearing as a consumer. You know, it's very competitive. So that, would be the presentation tonight on this particular mix. I'm going to stop the showing the screen. I might actually switch my mic out so I don't have to hear myself. Mic check, mic check.
You good?
Good, good, good. It feel good not to hear my own self echoing. But yeah, that's all. Hopefully as we move forward, this is not all you'll get out there. It's just me kind of doing a breakdown of a mix. We're gonna bring more and more different things as we continue to get people on the show, as we start to have more topics to kind of cover. You may even just get like a little snippet of what we do within the squad, just to give you a little taste of why you should join. But we're just kind of getting it started, getting acclimated to just getting here live for you. And so these first couple of lives, we just wanted to just do a actual live session. But this won't be all of what you get on Thursday. And the more y'all come through and the more y'all participate, the more things we could actually do for you. So if you out there and like, comment, subscribe, go to YouTube, Mix Squad TV, subscribe, click on the bell so you can get notified when we get going, so you can be a part of the show, so you can get into the mix, so you can send your stuff for me to do an impromptu mix on. We want and engage with our community. We're not just trying to get out here and just talk to ourselves, because to be honest with you, me, Kiana, and an audio manipulator, we know this stuff. We know this stuff. This is for y'all. Like, this is truly to get this information to you guys. And so we're not doing anything if we're not able to reach you and to get you to come on the show and want to be a part of interacting with us. Because that is what we're doing when we build up the Mix Squad, is we're trying to build up a platform where you could build up yourself. You join the squad. The idea is that you get the skill sets that you need to be able to be a better engineer. If you're an artist, get the skill sets you need to be a better artist. If you're, looking to make a name for yourself, you can actually count on a platform that's going to help you spring forward your name to the masses, to get your name out there, to get recognized for your greatness. And so we are against gatekeepers. We don't want to be, I can't gatekeep because I ain't got nothing. I'm not famous. I'm not in the industry, none of that stuff. So there's no way I could even gatekeep. But the term in itself pisses me off, just because it's too many of us anyway. It's too many regular people out here that's trying to just do what they can to survive, to make a living, to live a happy life. And there's no reason for us to be trying to keep sauce and keep secrets and keep things, because that just means to me that you just insecure that somebody else gonna come take your spot. That's just what that means to me. And so if you insecure and you feel like you got to gatekeep and not put nobody else on and not put people in the spot to where they can actually be successful, then that's why we came up with the squad. So if you're in a spot and in a place that you're not able to have a voice and you're not able to have your time and that you're not able to get recognized for your talents, then you in the wrong space. You in the wrong spot. Come join the squad.
They say you can't teach a dog new tricks, but you could teach a human new tricks.
Right. Straight up. So yeah, I've been talking for a minute. I think we can kind of relax for a second and just kind of open it up to maybe a few minutes, another 10, 15 minutes of just chopping it up with with those out there and with the panelists. So, what y'all got for me? Anything? Slang said he got to get off the camera because he was trying to blaze up. I mean, we deal with music, right? Like, so I ain't saying, I'm not advocating, because there's children out here that's probably, that could watch this stream, and there's, people who may not necessarily feel,
California.
how I do about Mary J. But so I understand being, how you are about it. It's very acceptable to be, just not to be on camera with it. But we do deal with music. Everybody out there listening to this smoking a blunt right now.
Joint.
Or a joint. My bad. I forgot. We get real. You know what I'm saying? In the community of smokers, you know what I'm saying? I'd have been attacked for you still on tobacco. I'm like, bruh, come on, man. It ain't that serious.
Health. We promoting health. Paper game.
Like that's healthier. You smoking anything ain't healthy. That's the thing I'll be saying, man. Like, if we gonna be on some pro health, let's like not do the act that is just completely unhealthy anyway, which is absorbing smoke in your lungs.
Right.
Let's start there. Don't tell me how to smoke. Like, you gotta smoke healthier. What? Smoking in general is unhealthy, bro. Like, but nah. We not. We trying to be realistic to our audience. You know what I'm saying? We ain't trying to just be acting like we faking and shaking, but we understand optics, and we do understand that, certain people get, pushed away from certain things. So we will try to be mindful of just things we say in regards to, even our language and whatnot, because we don't want to be a stumbling block for someone not to really come in and tap in and receive the information that we have to offer just because of how we communicate with one another. So if you join the squad, you might get you get the real deal, unfiltered cash, cue the music and slang MVP over the airways of YouTube. We gotta keep it business-like.
Keep it suits and ties.
I ain't going that far. You about to get a Unity hoodie. That's about as far as you get. Because, I'll be pushing peace. But
Mixed Squad hoodie.
Unity Mixed Squad, join the squad hat. I'll be pushing the merch. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I do be pushing Unity, bro. But sometimes I be walking,
Sometimes you want war.
Sometimes I be wanting to knock his head off.
Yeah, that's not
Unity.
Let's all stay together.
That must have been slang in there changing up the banner.
Yes.
What you doing, man? We ain't even got the show ready.
You just letting people know ahead of time what to be looking forward to. It's coming.
It's on its popping, man. Whatever.
It's on its way. Just like a slew of stuff that Mixed Squad will be. It's not to where we got a hard schedule for things yet, but we will eventually have a podcast bringing once a week. We will have a hit or mix review show once a week. We will consistently do Taking Thursday back once a week. If you join the membership, you'll get 2 days a week in addition to the days we just mentioned, that you'll have an in-house conversation with us in personal conversations about what you could probably do to improve your skill and your skill sets in this engineering field. So we will be here. Like, make no doubt about it. If you see this, we ain't going nowhere. We here. We are here.
We ain't going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere.
We can't be stopped.
Because it's Mixed Squad for life.
Right.
Straight up, we here, man. It's been a long time coming. I know for some of those may know of us, and some of you guys may not. For those of you who don't, we have been grinding at this thing for over a year to just kind of get to that point where we are now, where we're bringing a product to you, where we're bringing services to you, So let that be for those entrepreneurs out there who are just on the grind, what I call bootstrapping, is you just take it day to day. Keep on doing something every day toward making that goal accomplished. Because a year ago, this moment, it was hard to see. It's just really hard to see. There's a lot of clouds in the way, a lot of trees in the way. There's a lot of things going on that had us, or at least me, in a position where seeing this day or in this moment wasn't really that realistic. And
Yeah, because
little by little, we kept pushing. We kept making goals. Oftentimes, just like every other business, you hit some goals, you don't hit some goals. But the point is that we constantly made efforts into pushing to get to where we are now. We're still not finished. We still have a lot of things to do so we can have the full professional list of services that we really want to have available for you and have out there. We are in our infancy stage. And so that's why now, if you join today, this will be the beginning of something special where you could come in early. We're going to actually have a promo for those who decide to come in early, right? To where you get the squad membership at a discounted rate. So look forward to seeing that and what promo code to use for that, because we understand that we're trying to build this community and we want to allow you as us as we start off and as we grow, an opportunity to get in at a price that no one else will be able to take advantage of down the line. So yeah, I'm just excited. It's been a long time coming. Q know, audio manipulator know that we were, having these discussions sometime last year, but it didn't seem like we was gonna be here like this.
Right. To be honest, I think it really happened a lot quicker than we probably anticipated. Being we had a long laundry list of things we wanted
Right.
to get done. So even though we aren't at the finish line, we are in a good place. And ultimately, I see the Mix Squad as being like a one-stop shop for everyone. Like not just people who want to learn how to mix. Like you can also learn the business of music, learn
I
how
got
to be a
EP
songwriter,
stories.
learn how to be a producer, know how to be an artist, because you have people that's been in that space. Like my background is in songwriting, and I also ran an independent record label for a time period. So like I can help in those areas outside of mixing. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of skill sets we bring to the table outside of just being able to be a mix engineer. So that's a benefit to wanting to be a part of the squad, because it's not just mixing.
I agree. I mean, that's a part of the vision in itself of having the spirit that I have, like the energy and the like excitement that I have about it, is because I know that it's more than just about mixing. Like this is a whole movement. Like there's a lot of people in our shoes. There's a lot of people who don't want to spend what it costs to get studio mixes. You know what I'm saying? And because it's maybe, just the cost of it, it may just be, hey, I'm just a hobbyist and I really enjoy music and I just want to learn how to mix. And it's not something you want to learn for a career, but we can still help you develop in the things you want to learn, whether that's branding, whether that's artist development, like you said, songwriting, producing, all the syncing and sync licensing and publishing. It's so many things that go involving the music business that we could help cultivate alongside with your mixing skills, alongside with your actual artistry as a artist. Like we have candid conversations with ourselves, and when it comes to our music, when it comes to, hey, I like that, bro, but try it this way, or have you thought about rapping instead of singing that part? Because we are music savants, and we like when we hear something, we can't help but to be like, yeah, that wasn't it.
Underground King.
Right?
Check my
So
resume.
we can help you develop to get to that point to where you like got that confidence when you go into the studio, into your own personal home studio, to say, I have the skill set to record myself. I have the confidence to record myself. I have the confidence to actually perform this material. Because a lot of times it be confidence. A lot of times I hear artists who got something, I just don't hear the emotion and or passion and or personality in your performance.
That means they live in an apartment, brother. They ain't had no studio, man. Just saying.
Sometimes you just gotta say, forget your neighbors, man.
Get a free show, huh?
Well, I'm saying you got headphones on, so the only thing that the neighbors is hearing you is shouting. So they can't get mad at, like, they ain't gonna be like the bass too loud. They gonna be like, this Negro be shouting.
That's the point where I be getting at, like, oh, Will, here go a free show, man. If y'all hear it through the window, y'all hear it. Shit, enjoy.
Gotta get to that point.
Man.
Gotta get to that point. Not to get, well, yes, to get off of topic just for a second, because, I'll be talking to y'all, and I'll share it with live just because, why not, right? So, I have an issue in my house where the line, for some reason, of sewage ain't really going to the street. Is starting to bag up within my house, which is like, it's an issue because it's sewage that's bagging up in your house. And so I'm not thinking it was as bad as it was. So I took a shower to come. No. I took a shower.
We already know what is going.
So I come so the shower happens to be upstairs, okay? Because for whatever reason, my shower and my master just ain't functioning. So I take myself downstairs after I take shower, and I go into my bathroom, and I have a whirlpool that has water coming out of it, and it ain't just water.
Now it's oh shit.
Could you imagine, like, bro, like I literally walked into my house, walked into my bedroom, like, oh my God. Like, it's bad, bro.
It's like a Bill Cosby moment.
It's bad, bro. So you can't even imagine, like, me, saying, come, hey, baby, you want to do a little something tonight? Not with this shit, nigga. Like, hell no, I don't want to do nothing. I want to plug my nose. Like, I got my kids walking around here. Why does it stink so bad? I say, man, because it snowed last night, and then the snow melts and it rains, which adds to the baggage, and so, bro, I'm over here mad. I'm walking around with spray everywhere, dog. Everywhere. Because it's coming from the sub pump, which is in the basement, which, heat rises, and eventually, like, it's like, yo, what do we do? Like, you talking about $4-5 grand to get it unclogged because of the previous owners and their overuse of wipes?
I was gonna say
that's really where it came from.
Situation. I was just about to say that. That sounds like a wipe situation.
The dude who came in it was 3 years ago now, who initially did the extracting, he had gallons of wipes in his bucket that he pulled out and was like, I ain't scratched the surface. He said eventually it's going to build back up and you're going to have the same issue, and the eventually is here. So thank God this is not something we're going to be, all the way to the end of the year, because I ain't got to deal with walking around smelling boo-boo in my house that's coming up from a sewer. Like, that's awful. That's awful. So, whoo, yeah, that's what I'm dealing with. So first it was playing Mario and Luigi, trying to get pipes and stuff fixed, which, again, I still got to play Mario again this week, because as the season thawed and all of the pipes thawed, it burst in other areas now that wasn't already there. So I got the hot water back on in the kitchen, but the cold water is still off. And so yeah, I gotta play plumber. And So that's the everyday life stuff that we all deal with. So like, it's not like I sit here and just be 100% dealing with music all day, every day. Like we here at the Mix Squad are just regular people like y'all who happen to pick up a skill and pick up, you know, over our course of our life, you know, because Kiana didn't just meet me and learn how to be a songwriter and learn how to manage artists and stuff like that. That was something she's acquired throughout her life. You know what I mean? But we have all been around the block in certain capacities, whether it's me in corporate America and just certain things that I could tell you about. If that's the branding you want to go for, this is what you need to do to brand for corporate America, because you can't brand, like, they not accepting all brands. You know, so we have a certain level of expertise in different facets of all things that really will just help you. In addition, once we start growing and building, like the Shantays of the world, and the Royals of the world, as we build our community, we all will be a benefit of each other, and we will start promoting each other and what businesses that we, you know, each other have outside of the squad. So I think that'll be it. Unless somebody else wanted to have, you know, a little sidebar outside of me and my boo-boo stories.
No, I think we should end it on that.
You know, I gotta keep it funky like we did when we had Thursdays before, man. You know,
Right.
you gotta keep it real with the people. Give them something to chuckle at. Don't gotta keep it all business all the time. But yeah, we're gonna end our live on that. I would say be sure to just know that this is what we'll do on Thursday as we continue to take Thursday back. And we'll see y'all. If not Sunday, we plan on going live on Sunday. But if not, we will definitely see y'all again next Thursday as we take Thursday back. Peace.
Did it again, Alex. Give me more. Okay, cash at hand, that's the motto, that's the plan. Got a whole lot of loot, check my status, that's the brand. Boy, stop playing, money so long, broke them rubber bands in the jam. I'll be damned if I fuck with Uncle Sam. I be spazzing on the beat. I go thermal on them niggas, I'm absorbing all the heat. Oh, salty ass niggas be thinking that it's sweet. Oh, dusty ass niggas in the presence of the lead. Salute. Yeah, we looking for recruits. Join the squad, get you open, corner 3, 2, 1, shoot. Don't be scared, come prepared, and we keep you in the loop.